Now, I know what you're thinking. Gary, we are not going through all these shows, right? No, guys. I promise you, I'm not that crazy just yet. But it is finally time to go through the top 20. That's right, baby. 20 series of 2023. And oh boy, we have a lot. We got a lot to go through. I'm going to try to make this video quicker, guys. I promise. I don't want it to be super, super long. But initially, this video was going to be a top 10. But as I went through all our 4 seasons of the year, I realized there are going to be so many series that get snubbed if I limited this to a top 10. So I decided to do a top 20 with 5 honorable mentions. We won't spend too much time on each individual one to keep this kind of quick. I don't want this to be hours. But I definitively think these are the best shows of 2023. You maybe can change the order around a little bit depending on your preference. But I think these are unquestionably the top 20 shows. Now, I have to tell you guys how I decided to do this before we get into it. Because I'm sure some of you might have seen some of these and you're like, are these not on there? Are these not on there? For this list, if a show only had half of its season out in 2023, and by that I mean its second half, if we only had its second half out in 2023, say its first part aired sometime in 2022, I did not include it on this list. I'll even tell you guys right now, shows that did not make this list because of that are Blue Lock, and one that kind of pains me a little bit, but I have to do it, is The Witch from Mercury. They're not on this list. You can see Blue Lock right here. They're not here. I can't do it because you have to factor in their first halves when you're talking about a show. And their first halves did not air in this season. If I allowed that to happen, guys, with only second halves, guess what? Eminence and Shadow would be on this list 2 times because its first half ended in winter of last year. Its second half, I mean. The tail end of the show ended in January. It'd be on this list 2 times, and I didn't... Just stuff like that I didn't really like. Now, for the first halves of shows, I feel like they can be on this list because that's the beginning of a show. I feel like you can accurately rank a show on its beginning half. It's different than the tail end, where you have to factor in the first part too. So, you'll see that on this list. I wanted to explain that so you guys weren't like, why is this not on here? Or why is this not on here? That's why. I thought that was just one of the only ways I could do it. I wanted to just hard preference 2023 shows. That's why, like, Don Machi Season 4 you see right here isn't on here. Y'all know I love that shit. That was so good. But only its second half was here, so it can't go on the list. So, let's get into it right away. Let's not keep you waiting too much, because this will take a bit still. Let's get into it, baby. Starting with our 5 honorable mentions. Dead Mount Deathplay, Dark Gathering, One Room Hero. And then the last 2 are kind of memes, I'll be real. Liar Liar and our Vending Machine series. Peak Sakai, man. I'll be real. I almost put this as number 1 just to be a fucking troll. But I wanted to legit be serious here. I want this to actually be a more serious list. So, my honorable mentions. Dead Mount Deathplay. A series I do very much enjoy. I very much liked it. I think it is a good successor to Durarara. I do. I actually do. I don't think it's like overly amazing. That's why it's in the honorable mentions. But I feel like it definitely deserved a shout out. Same with Dark Gathering. A series that should not be as solid as it is, honestly. It should probably be a lot worse than it is. But it is just a straight up pretty solid horror series. I really have to preference that. Because horror anime are notoriously bad. I've been over this constantly on my channel, so we won't get into it too much, but horror anime are pretty trash a lot of the time because it's very hard to capture horror elements in anime for whatever reason. But Dark Gathering did it pretty well, in my opinion. And the series as a whole is very, very solid, frankly. I do find it funny how at some point the series just kind of turns into Pokemon with them gathering spirits and then just using them to fight other spirits. That made me laugh when I thought of it that way, but it's still a solid series overall and deserve to at least be talked about here. One Room Hero. This is a show that, I'll be real, it's just kind of a show that I really enjoyed this year. I really enjoyed it, honestly. I just found it very fun and entertaining. I still go back and remember the streaming episode they did in this show, and it still makes me laugh so much. It's very fun. It's a fun series. A concept you would think would be tired because it's kind of similar to like Devil is a Part-Timer, but I think they execute it very well. The characters are very likable, and it's just a fun time. It's a show that I definitely think if you went into with the right expectations, you would greatly enjoy it, just like I did. So it definitely deserved a shout out. Now, I'll be the first one to tell y'all right here. Liar, liar should not be on this list, frankly. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I'm not gonna lie. It should not be on this list at all. I should have put something like Marshall here. Oh, spoiler, by the way. I should have put something like Marshall here instead, probably. But I can't explain it, guys. I really enjoyed my time with Liar Liar. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. So ridiculous. Our games are so goddamn convoluted. I made a video talking about that. They're so ridiculous, man. Like, make it up on the fly. Like, yeah, we're doing this now. Like, playground rules, guys. Like, my card has the ability to counter your card. Well, my card has the ability to counter your counter card. Like, kind of shit like that. It's so dumb. But I had such a fun time with it. To the point where this might be embarrassing to say, but I started reading the light novel and I'm having a fun time with it. I don't know, man. Inexplicably, I just really enjoyed it this year. Even though I recognize the show. And the last one, it's peak Sakai, bro. What more do I need to say? It is peak Sakai. It deserves to be on this list. There's nothing else to say. Alright. Let's move on to our actual list now. Let's do it. Moving on to number 20 on this list. Undead Girl Murder Farce. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, what? I don't even know what this show is. And that's a shame right there. Because Undead Girl Murder Farce really kind of surprised me by being just a really solid, fun series that I think does stand out a bit. For one, its opening slaps. Its opening does slap. Like, I can't put too much credit for it with the opening, but it does slap. And I just thought it was a really interesting series. I love how they incorporate all these, like, famous entities into the series. Like we had an arc where Sherlock Holmes was fighting Lupin the Thief, and the Phantom of the Opera was freaking helping him and all that. We just had a bunch of wild shit. And then we have our main characters, the Oni, and our detective, the caged detective, who's literally just a head in a cage. And just their dynamic, the group's dynamic. Oh, and their maid, of course. Can't forget the maid. It was really fun. It was a pretty well-written series, actually, I will say. The mysteries, some of them were more obvious than others. Some of them were very intricate, actually. And you really have to scratch your head like, all right, how'd they do this? How'd they do that? Some of them were quite good. I think this series is honestly pretty damn underrated. And I don't believe they announced the second season, but I'm really hoping they do because I enjoyed it a lot. So, Undead Girl Murder Farce, I think is 20. This could probably be interchanged with something like Undead Unluck, for if it's your preference. Another spoiler, by the way. But, this is what I decided to put here because I think it's truly underrated. Let's move on to our next show. Horimiya Peace. Now, some of y'all are probably fuming in the comments like, 19? 19? Fucking dislike, unsubscribe, hate comment. But here's the thing. Horimiya is a great romance series. Let's not get that twisted. It is a fantastic romance series, guys. It really is. You had so many people, and I mean so many people, talking about how great the manga is for years. Years. Literally years. So when the anime got announced, the hype around the show was huge. So many people were going crazy over it. And that first season was really good. And then we got Horimiya Peace, which is just as good. Don't get that twisted. I'm not saying it was worse. I just think how this show was handled was way worse. Because Horimiya Peace is a collection of like little scenes that take place throughout our first season, before and after in some situations too, but it's essentially stuff they did not include in our first adaptation for the show. And I just think that's so dumb. We had a couple shows like that. We had Quintuplets did that. We had Toilet Bound Hanako did that this year. It's just like, don't go back and fix your mistake you made. Don't make the mistake to begin with. I want you to picture this. How much more amazing would Horimiya have been as an entire package if Horimiya Peace was just included in season 1? If they were just mashed together in a 26 episode show, because I think season 1 was 13 episodes as well. If it was just mashed together in one big season, how much more amazing would it have been? Obviously, it's great that we get more content, but like, it shouldn't have been separated to begin with. That's how I feel. And that's why I have to put it lower. The series itself is great, like I told you. But just how it was handled, just the kind of messiness of it all, just is a little off-putting to me. Because I don't want that to be a common thing in the anime community going forward with these studios. I don't want them to do stuff like that, man. Just include it all at once. Don't break it up. We saw how much this hurt a series like Attack on Titan, spacing things out, not just putting it all together in one product. That shit killed Attack on Titan. I'm telling you right now. As amazing as that was, it's not on this list, by the way. I'm telling you now, we had like 2 episodes in 2023. I can't include Attack on Titan on here. It wouldn't be right. It's not here. But that killed the hype for that show. And a show like Chainsaw Man, for instance, like, why was that not 24, 25 episodes? They dropped the ball so goddamn hard. Not just making it 12 episodes. it's a common thing in the anime community nowadays. I won't get into it, but Horimiya Peace, great series, one of the best romances of this year of 2023, easily. I'm not gonna argue against that, but I think the shows above it are just objectively better. Maybe that's just me, guys. I don't know, but I think they are better overall. So let's move on to our next one right here, which is right away a series, a romance that I think is just better, to be honest. Insomniac's After School. Now, this might be a bit objective on my part because this series is just very personal to me. I made a very personal video talking about this series in its season. Just talking about how I'm someone who struggles with insomnia. Like, I don't sleep very well at all, almost ever. Like, I'm tired right now, guys. It's just, I understand the pain of it so freaking well. And I think this series does such a damn good job of just showcasing the struggles of that series. And on top it off, it's a great romance as well. What more could I really ask for? It's just this show, man. I'd say the animation is not amazing on it until it decides to be amazing. Do you understand what I mean by that? Like, the scenes that need to hit, and they hit hard. I still remember the beach scene, or our ending scene where they're at the monument, and we're just looking up at the stars, man. We're just looking up at the stars, and it's fucking beautiful. Or we're just looking at the stars reflected on the ocean. Absolutely beautiful. On top of just having a truly genuine, just really heartfelt romance on top of it. What more could I ask for, frankly, with Insomniac's After School? It was one of my personal favorites of this year. But objectively, I can't put it higher than 18 because there are better series this year than it. As much as it pains me to do that, I have to put it down here. But it's so damn good. Let me say that right now. I really think you guys should go out and watch this series if you haven't. It's not overhyped or anything like that. It is genuinely just great. Alright, that's all I'll say. We won't get into it too much. I don't want this video to be too long. Let's move on to our next series. Demon Slayer Season 3 is at 17, bro. I see the angry comments, the dislikes, the pitchforks are already out. People are fuming that I put Demon Slayer at 17. But I'ma look y'all in the eyes right now. We're gonna keep it a buck. Season 3 was mid, bro. Let's just be completely honest. In terms of animation, here's the thing. We're gonna keep it transparent as fuck here. In terms of animation, it is probably the best animated show of the year. Like, let's not lie and say it's not. It definitely is. Ufotable is always in their bag when it comes to animation. But in terms of our actual content of the year, Demon Slayer was fucking mid, dude. The Swordsmith Village arc was boring at times. It dragged. I go into this pretty extensively in my seasonal review for Demon Slayer a while back, but it drags, man. God damn. How long do we need to see Tanjiro running after these demons in the fucking woods, bro? Holy shit. I found myself bored watching it. Just, obviously we had great moments. Like, what was his name? Michiko? Like, his little backstory and arc was quite good. It's just everything else around it just didn't hold up. It didn't hold a candle to season 2 of Demon Slayer, which I have to admit was just better. The arc was better. The characters were better, by the way. It's just, I can't put it higher, man. Just, if I'm being, like, legit critical on it. It was boring and dragged. Animation could be the best in the biz, but I don't hold that in the highest of regard. That should not bump a series up just for animation alone. I think that is a very bad argument. So, again, just mid, frankly, this season compared to the other ones even. I think season 1 was arguably better. But that's a totally different topic. Let me not trigger you guys too much with that kind of shit. Demon Slayer is definitely 17. Let us move on. Dude, so many people probably clicked off the video just from that. To 16, Trigon Stampede. Dude, this show blew my expectations out the water, guys. I couldn't believe it. Because when this got announced, I was so immediately hyped because Trigon is a classic series, an absolute classic series that I feel like all anime fans should definitely watch at some point in their time in this crazy little world of anime of ours. They definitely should check it out at least once. So when I found out they were coming back with a remake, not like a remaster or nothing, a remake of the series, more closely following the manga than our first season did, because as great as it was, I wouldn't necessarily say it followed the manga. They made it more of a Western when when Trigon is more of like a sci-fi series than a Western. I was so hyped. But then we found out it was going to be fully 3D, and people were going crazy. Nobody was happy about it, including myself. Until we saw it was Studio Orange, the absolute pinnacle of 3D animation. Dude, they are the GOATs when it comes to 3D. This show looked incredible. It was stunning. I couldn't believe how good it was, how good it looked being fully 3D. Studio Orange, man, can just take 3D and just put everyone else to shame. It's fucking shocking how bad 3D is in other series, and then Studio Orange comes in and makes a goddamn beautiful series like Trigon Stampede here. And on top of that, the show itself is freaking good. They changed some things around a little bit. Like, if I remember right, we didn't even have Millie in the show. They replaced her with Roberto. But the show itself is so good. The story is really good. They more closely follow the manga, like I said. And you start to realize how, like, more dramatic, how more serious the show really is compared to its 90s counterpart. With just how great this series can be, man. It was a complete, I wouldn't say shocker of the year, but it was definitely an unexpected surprise that I absolutely loved. We covered it on the channel. I loved it. I gushed about it then. So let's move on to the next one so this doesn't take too long. But Trigon Stampede easily deserves this list. You could make an argument it deserves to be higher, but I felt this was a good placement. Fun little question. Let me know in the comments where you guys think Trigon Stampede should rank on this list, because it is a series that could fluctuate very heavily depending on opinion. So let me know yours in the comments. Let's move on to number 15. We're going fairly quick through this. Zom. Oh, we kind of spoiled the next one. Zom 100. Man. I'll tell you guys right now. I wish I could put Zom higher. I really, truly wish I could put Zom higher because it's such a fun series. But just how it was handled, the production issues were insane. It got delayed, what, like 4 or 5 months? Like, they got to episode 9, and we didn't get another episode until December 25th on Christmas Day. They decided, oh, we'll just drop the last 4. Or the last 4 at once. And it's just, they... The production is really why it's this low, but Zom itself is such a great series, guys. Akira as a character, such an fucking upbeat, enthusiastic character. Just our cast of characters themselves are honestly great. Shizuka, all of them. Just the world itself, just being a post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse world. But we're out here having fun. We're finding women. We're having parties and all that. It was just a really great time. And just showcase that even in like the most fucked up of situations, even when things look gloom and doom, that we can still have a bit of fun. And maybe even scratch some things off our own bucket lists. Just Zom is just the definition of a fun series. I greatly enjoyed it this year. I just really wish I could put it higher. Like, I feel like they fumbled the ball so hard. And I believe the studio that made Zom, this was like their very first series. This was like their very first, like, series that they did on their own. So, I don't want to be too harsh on them, but maybe next time don't get a little too over your head in this. Maybe not get a little too enthusiastic. Take your time a bit more. Because Zom should honestly be in like the top 10, dude, if we're being honest. But I just can't. I just can't put it here. There's too many problems with it. Just production-wise. But Zom 100, easily one of the top 20 of the year. No question. Let's move on to our next one now. Hell's Paradise. Now, Hell's Paradise is funny because I'm a manga reader for Hell's Paradise, so I know how amazing this series is going to be. But it's kind of like a Chainsaw Man situation. Like I said, like we only had 13 episodes? And in those 13 episodes, we just don't get enough of the story for me to put it much higher. Like, it unquestionably deserves to be on this list. Gabimaru is freaking great. The world is interesting, intricate. Our island itself is intricate, interesting, very deadly. Secrets everywhere, man. And I just can't put it higher because we have to get more of it before the series really starts to showcase why it's so amazing. Like, we get glimpses of it in this season, why it is so great. But as we get further in, as we get a bit more of it, it truly, I guess, the bud of its flower starts opening up a bit more. And we see just how beautiful the series really can be. So for now, I have to put Hell's Paradise a bit lower, but in the future, I 100% believe that it will skyrocket up lists because it is that good. And if we're talking about the opening, man, that opening, one of the best of the year. Let's keep it a buck. It is definitely like top 10 of the year. I really wish I could do my opening videos still, guys. Like, I love doing those, but just the copyright hell I'd had to jump through every single time I tried to do it. I just couldn't, man. It was ridiculous. But Hell's Paradise, number 14, deserves to be here. You can make a case for higher, but not quite yet. Not quite yet, in my opinion. Let's move on to our next series, which is Spy X Family, Season 2. Now, in previous lists, I had Spy X Family like at the toppity top of the list. But this season, as much as I love Yours arc, I've gushed about it so much on the channel already, guys. As much as I love her arc and everything that happens with it, just the little funnier scenes here and there are moments like they're not that important. I wouldn't say they drag the series down. They don't, because that's the appeal of the show. Just the heart and the funniness of the series. But, like, I wouldn't say they elevate it either. Like, I saw a lot of people, like, feeling a little fatigued with those scenes. And then when yours arc came, I actually had so many comments from you guys telling me about, oh man, I wasn't feeling the first couple episodes, but then we got to this arc and I was fully into it, fully invested. And even as a manga reader, I feel the same way. This season to me was essentially just yours arc with some fluff around it. Like, I'll be honest about that myself. That's what it was. And just off that alone, it 100% deserves to be on this list because it was absolutely incredible how we flushed out we flushed out her assassin organization and just really got into the nitty gritty of her as a character, her motivations, all that stuff. And it was just great, guys. It was really great. They executed it extremely well and made Spy X Family just another banger of a season. When is it not? Spy X Family's never gonna not be a banger, guys. Spoiler alert. Just letting you know now. But just one of the best times I had throughout this year was going through yours arc. So Spy X Family absolutely deserves to be on this list. I don't think higher, personally, but 13? That ain't bad, man. That ain't bad. Let us move on to the next show. Mushoku Tensei. This one was hard to place. Mushoku Tensei Season 2 Part 1. This one was a bit hard for me to place, guys, because I love Mushoku Tensei. You guys know that. If we're talking about just a pure, straight-up fantasy series, I think Mushoku Tensei is actually like the pinnacle. Even more than other series that we have, which we'll talk about later. I feel Mushoku Tensei is the actual pinnacle of fantasy series. But it's number 12 because just the contents of this season alone. This was a very character-driven season. Like, I wouldn't say our plot progressed at freaking all this season. This was a complete and utter character-driven season, which by its nature slowed down our series to a grinding halt. That being said, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Our deep dive into the characters this season. Our introduction of a character like, what was her name? Horikoshi, who just kind of flips the series on its head. Just that kind of stuff was amazing. And that's why it's number 12. It's just, its slower nature and the fact that we only had half of it. And just that half of it wasn't anything like super huge. Just, I had to put it a little lower because of that. It sucks, but it's just, it is what it is, guys. I couldn't, in my right mind, put it higher. Like, I thought about it for a really long time. Mushoku Tensei is one of the shows I thought about for a long time where I wanted to place it on this list. And I couldn't place it higher when I really thought about it, like, from a critical standpoint. As much as I thought it was amazing. I covered the whole thing on my channel, so go check that out if you're interested. But Mushoku Tensei, number 12. I feel like that's a good spot. When part 2 comes out, hell, maybe that'll skyrocket it up. I'm sure it will, actually, from what I'm hearing. But for now, it can't be higher than 12. And that's just a shame, but it is what it is. Let us move on. 100 Girlfriends. This show is the pinnacle of ridiculousness, guys. Just the absolute one of the most absurd shows of the year, and also one of the best. Holy shit. You want to talk about just pure fun. Just pure fun in a show. 100 Girlfriends is the pinnacle of that series. The definitive harem series. So absurd, so over the top, but it knows it. It plays into it, and it just makes the series shine even more. Just such an amazing series, honestly, that I can't stop gushing about it. I made a whole 20 plus minute video gushing about this series, guys. So I won't get into it too much, but 100 Girlfriends is amazing. Rentaro's the main character, amazing. The girls themselves are actually just super fun, great characters that complement each other extremely well. Just what more is there to say besides it's just great? Go check it out if you haven't. In fact, I'm sure you already have, frankly. It's just that good. So let us move on. Let's not spend too much time on this one because I definitely spent a lot of time on it in previous videos. This next one hurt me. Hurt me so much to place here. You guys don't understand. The Dangers in My Heart. I guess we can do that for that. The Dangers in My Heart, man. Oh, this one hurt my soul to put here. I might have agonized the most over this placement, by the way, because you guys know I love this series. This is probably my favorite show that released in 2023. My favorite series that released this year. But I just think overall, I just think there are some better shows. Just as an entire package. But this series is the freaking best romance series we've gotten in years. I'm sorry, guys. It is. I think it's better than Horimiya. I think it's better than a show like Skip the Loafer and all that. That was in its same season. I think it's better than Insomniacs. I think it's better than Kaguya. All these ones, man. It's just the definitive best romance series. Just because of its characters. Just how goddamn genuine it is and heartfelt. It's fucking palpable. You can feel it watching the show. Just the chemistry and just how the characters play off each other. It is the best. Hands down. I'm sorry. I know I'll get some pushback because I know a lot of you want me to put it higher. But it pains me to not. But I have to be like objective here. And I think it's number 10. Because the show above it, I think, is just a little bit better, and I enjoyed it a bit more. So let's get into that. Apologies for that, guys. I hate pausing these types of videos. Real life called for me right there. I had to go do something kind of serious, actually. So, my apologies, but moving on to number 9, a series that begrudgingly, I have to admit, I might have enjoyed overall a little more than Dangers in My Heart. God, I hate saying that. I hate it being a 10, man. But number 9, for some reason, the only one that's invisible on this list, I don't know why it's invisible, is The Apothecary Diaries. That's right, guys. I think this is a number 9 on this list. This show came out of nowhere for me, man. Came out of freaking nowhere. I remember going over it in my fall season, overview. Going over the season initially before it started. Seeing this show, reading its synopsis and thinking, this sounds pretty good. This sounds like a pretty solid show. I can't wait to check this out. And then I didn't for a while. Until towards the tail end of our season. Where I watched one episode and immediately watched the rest of the 12 that were out. I watched this whole show in one sitting, guys. The whole first half. It was fantastic. I couldn't believe how much I was enjoying it. I could not stop watching it. Definitively. It got so late at night, 3, 4 in the morning. I'm just like, one more. I got one more. One more, man. I can't stop now. That's how you know you got a problem when you're like, just one more, man. One more. The Apothecary Diaries is so damn good. I'll tell you now, It's got the best opening of the year. I think so. I think it's better than JJK. I think it's better than Freerin. I think it's better than a bunch of other shows. Even better than The Dangers in My Heart. And I gush about that opening constantly, guys, for the first season. That shit slaps. The first time I heard it, it immediately went on my Spotify. Let me tell y'all that right now. That shit was an immediate add to Spotify. Just, I love the show. Mao Mao, such a great character. Such an interesting character with her philosophy on stuff, too. And I just, like I said in my previous video, I love how she kind of goes around the royal palace as like a detective in a way. With her apothecary skills. Just deducing all these illnesses and all these little mysteries and occurrences that happen around here. The things they'd like swept under the rug, you know? I just really enjoyed that. I thought it was excellently well done. I think the animation is fantastic on this series. Here's the thing, like I said with Demon Slayer, I don't hold animation in the highest of regard. I think shows can be amazing with subpar animation. But when a show has amazing animation, that does help the series, obviously, because if the show is great and looks great on top of it, why, that's just a win-win for everyone now, isn't it? And just the Apothecary Diaries, it was just the perfect storm of a show. I actually do. This might be a little biased on my part to put it so high, frankly. I'll be transparent about that. You could arguably say The Dangers in My Heart is better. Like, even you catch me on a certain day, I might say it's better, personally. Or even 100 Girlfriends, or even Mushoku Tensei. Objectively, if we had the whole season of Mushoku Tensei, it would be so much higher on this list. Let's keep it a buck, bro. But The Apothecary Diaries was just the perfect storm. It's such a damn good show. The happiness I felt when I found out, oh, we got more? It's continuing into this season? The happiness I felt was unmatched. Besides The Dangers in My Heart. Oh, I gotta get over that. Oh, I gotta get over it. My heart's in danger of breaking, putting it so low. But The Apothecary Diaries, it's just a fucking amazing series, man. I love it so much. I can't wait to continue to talk about it into our season moving forward. But now it's time to move on to a criminally underrated show that had to be on this list, had to be this high, and y'all have to check out. Because number 8, never mind, I lied. It's not yet, but but our next show is really good too. I done goofed, guys. I done goofed. Moving on to our number 8 show, which I do very much think is a great series this year and a standout of the year. Heavenly Delusion, baby. Heavenly Delusion. This show, I didn't know a damn thing about this series going into it, but I checked out the series. I did my initial video on the series talking about episode 1 and how I found it very interesting, and just how the world was, how the monsters were, just kind of how characters are and all that in the show was very interesting and a very good start. And as we progressed through the series, it just got better and better. It got more interesting. It got the creatures got crazier and crazier. Our characters got better and better. Sometimes not. We'll get into that. But Heavenly Delusion was just a really good time all the way through. Man, Maru and is it Haruka? It's been a minute. Let me look this up real quick. I don't want to sound like a fool. Kiriko, I'm dumb. Kiriko, duh. Fucking Maru and Kiriko. Man, I love these two so much. They're so good, man. They're so good. I'll be honest, they were the best part of this show. Every time we would go to the facility, I would always think to myself, like, all right, this is good, but like let's get back to these two, you know? Let's get back to these two and their struggles in the actual world. That is a criticism I do have of the series, actually, is that I don't think our little institution, every time we'd go to there, it was not as interesting to me as just being with Kiriko and Maru in the world, man. That was just the best parts of this show to me. It just excelled. Just the plot twists. Just the drama. Y'all know I'm not big on drama, but this show, man, has some moments that fucking gut punch the shit out of you. And you feel it, dude. Damn. I'll tell you now. The absolute maddest I've been this year is with fucking Robin. I remember that fucker's name. Dude. I don't want to get into it too much. I had to take a walk. I had to stop watching stuff, go outside, and take a walk and breathe after watching that scene. I was fuming. I was actually, like, physically getting mad. Maru should have fucking killed him. Let's keep it a buck. I'm still not happy with Kiriko for letting that go. I'm not happy with that. I will be honest. I'm with Maru. You kill that fucker. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna get into it too much, but absolutely fucking vile, that situation. But Heavenly Delusion is just a great show. It's the type of show that I'm extremely excited to see more of, but hesitant because I can see some aspects of it dropping the ball. Again, like I said, our little institution is not my favorite part of the show. I could see that part becoming, like, bad. Like, actually bad. But overall, Heavenly Delusion is definitely a top 10 show of this year. If you think differently, we must have been watching different anime years, guys. Because 2023, Heavenly Delusion's a standout. Now, we move on to the criminally underrated show that you all need to watch. I forgot I switched the placements of these two at the last second because I felt it was just better than Heavenly Delusion, baby. And that show is fucking Pluto. Pluto, man. Shit, dude. Pluto is so damn good. You want to talk about a show that literally comes out of nowhere. Fucking Pluto. The Netflix series. That if you guys have Netflix and you've been on Netflix, you've probably seen Pluto. Pluto's fucking amazing. Pluto is amazing. I go into it, and I go into exactly why it's good, and some examples of why it's good in my previous video, ranking the fall season. So I'm not going to get into it too much here, because that I go on a very long little segment talking about why the show is good. So go check that out if you want, like, a very in-depth description of why Pluto's amazing. But this show is fucking good. You don't hear any talk about it. Mainly, I would assume because it's a series based on an arc from the Astro Boy series, which I don't know a single freaking thing about. But you don't need to know about that to watch Pluto. I do think as I was watching it, like, a little bit of context might have helped in, like, some situations with some characters, obviously. I think it would have helped a little bit, but you don't need it. You don't need it to fully understand and appreciate this series. Pluto is fucking good. The fact it's not higher, actually, is wild to me. But just thinking about it, because how I decided to do this list is on community response, my opinions, obviously, and just the reception I see of the series. Like, how talked about it, or how much is the show talked about each week, each episode that comes out. How much discussion is around it. How much eyes are on it. That kind of stuff does matter. People think, oh, that's a popularity contest thing. No, man. If a lot of people are talking about a series, it's typically because a series is good. And we'll showcase that in our next couple ones. Because our next couple ones are by far the shows that had the most talk, the most discussion, and the most just community grabbing effect of this season. As we move into number 6, Bleach Part 2 of the 1,000-Year Blood War. Now, you might see the next one. We'll get into that. But Bleach. Some of you might be going crazy right now. Like, Bleach isn't higher? You're not putting Bleach higher? I can't, man. I can't. I think the shows above it were just better this year. Y'all know I fucking love Bleach. Bleach is one of my favorite shonens, guys. Dude, I covered the entire season when it came out. I'm going to cover the next 2 parts fully all the way when they come out. It's just Bleach is fucking good. But with part 2, I feel like the huge initial hype, I would not say died down. It did not die down. Bleach was one of the best shows of the year. But it didn't, part 2 didn't have the overwhelming hype that part 1 did. Because part 1 was the first time the series had come back in 10 years, guys. That shit was unparalleled hype. It rivaled Chainsaw Man in terms of hype in the season it came out. Let that sink in. They were on the same level of hype because of that. And I think part 2 didn't exactly have that, but part 2 is amazing because it's here. We really start to see how they've changed up the 1,000-Year Blood War. We had a good amount of scenes, actually, in this season added in for more context to explain things better. And they were fucking incredible. And truly make me think the next 2 parts of the 1,000-Year Blood War are gonna be wild. They're gonna fix a lot of the problems. This season proved that. They added stuff that just flat out wasn't in the manga. Like our final fight with Squad Zero and Bach and all of them. Like, they added a lot of stuff to that, by the way, guys. Like, they've just done such an amazing job with Bleach. I'll tell you right now, my favorite episode of the season is still Rukia's episode. Who'd have said that when Bleach came out, or initially, that, oh man, my favorite part of the season was Rukia's scene. But that's just a testament to how amazing it was with her fight against As Know It. That shit was amazing to see her Bankai after all these years and for them to give her true justice. Fuck, it was great, man. I'm so jazzed about it even now. Seeing Ichiba go fucking crazy against Bach, man. You know how many years I've waited to see this kind of stuff animated, dude. And they've absolutely killed it. I'm going a little too crazy. They've just absolutely nailed it. What more is there to say? I'm super excited for our next parts of Bleach. But I think Bleach is number 6. Even with everything I just said, I think Bleach is number 6. Because number 5, baby, you knew it couldn't not be on this list from me. Eminence in Shadow, Season 2. Eminence in Shadow, man. What a goddamn... fuck it, who cares? What a goddamn amazing series Eminence in Shadow is. Oh, man. Whew, it's... This and 100 Girlfriends are just the definitive parody series to me, dude. 100 Girlfriends, a parody of the rom-com harem genre. Eminence in Shadow, the definitive parody of isekai and even a little bit shonen in a way. Just, it's so fucking funny. It's so good. The characters are great. I've gussed about Eminence in Shadow so much. We covered the whole season on the channel, man. Season 1 and 2. Go check it out if you haven't. One of the funniest parts of this show, and one of the best parts, I have not talked about this aspect of the show actually, is just the little things you see here, where characters will say some like offhand comment quietly or pretty quickly, and you gotta be paying attention, and they'll just say something under their breath, or they'll say something to the side, or there'll be something in the background that's happening, and it's so fucking good, dude. It's so hilarious. The comedy in this show is genuinely amazing. They nail it. You would think a premise like this would potentially get old, but they fucking nail it every single time. It's insane. When the first season came out, I was not a light novel reader for the series until like the literal last episode of the show, essentially. I've even told you guys this. But going back through season 1 and all that with the knowledge of the light novel, how they did things is so great. Like, they do some things that I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, why would they do this? That's a weird decision. But with the context of the light novel in your head, it all makes sense. They do so many little references throughout the whole show, man, that if you're even a manga reader or a light novel reader, you will appreciate so much because they give you these little subtle nods like, oh yeah, we included that in our own way. We did this, we did that. It's so well done, so fucking funny. Eminence in Shadow. Any other year would be higher, guys, on this list. But our top 4, I think, are like undisputed top 4 of the year. Like, as much as I love these other series, guys, like, these top 4, I think, are definitively, like, unarguably the top anime of the year. In terms of reception, people vibing with it, the community reaction to these series, by far, these are number 1. So let's move on to number 4. You might have seen the bottom of it already. And you'd be a damn fool if this wasn't in your top 5 of the year. You'd actually be dumb. Because number 4 is Oshi no Ko, baby. This show, I'll tell you guys right now, definitively, Oshi no Ko has the best first episode out of any series this entire year. It's that simple. Oshi no Ko starts off with the heaviest of situations. With one of the biggest of bangs. And the series just made waves after that. It's crazy. The community went fucking nuts for Oshi no Ko. This show, man. This show went from a manga that people liked to a goddamn top-selling manga for months and months. And that typically happens when shows get their anime adaptations, to be fair. Like, they get a big boost in manga. Oshi no Ko got, like, a 10 times increase in its manga. It was beating One Piece and shit in manga sales, guys. It was the definitive, like, top-selling manga in Japan. Like, so many of its volumes for fucking months and months. Even after the show ended, like, its volumes were still some of the top-selling. That's just because this show made waves, man. They did it so well. As a manga reader, they did the first season so well. Introducing our concept, which on paper would be generic as hell. And I saw so many people. I went and watched reactions actually to that first episode. And for about half of it, you literally see a lot of people saying, okay, this seems fun, but it's not for me. And then we get into it. We get into the show. We get our plot twist. We get our real series. And just the shift in the community, the shift in tone in the show itself just made fucking waves, man. If you think Oshi no Ko isn't a top 5 show of 2023, you are actually stupid. I'm sorry. You are dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. This is so like obviously top 5 of the season. Just in terms of just like taking over the community. Oshi no Ko was a tidal wave when it came out, dude. Unquestionably so. I think I rated it the top show of its season because it was flat out definitively. What more is there to say? Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit. There might be one show that was better objectively than Oshi no Ko, but we'll get into that really soon. And by really soon, I mean next, baby, because number 3, I'm going to trigger some fucking people with this one. I will trigger some people with this one. It's Vinland Saga, dude. Both parts of Vinland Saga came out this year, so Vinland Saga is on this list. And I think it's number 3. That's going to trigger so many people. I'm going to make so many people mad. Let me tell you guys now. Rest assured, Vinland Saga is fucking amazing. This series is amazing. The people saying, oh man, this season's boring. This isn't like season 1. This shit is mid. You are fucking dumb. I'm sorry. I don't like being mean like that, guys. You are fucking dumb if you think that about Vinland Saga. This show is incredible. I mentioned this in my seasonal review during its season. The fact that you can take a character like Thorfinn, who is so fucking angry, has so much anger and resentment and hatred in him, and give him the kind of transformation in season 2 is astounding. That is astounding. That is the pinnacle of amazing writing. The show itself is amazing. I can't get over it. It is, I'll tell you now, it is a little jarring at first. If, like, you're not a manga reader, which I'm not. I'll be fully transparent. I'm not a manga reader. To go from season 1 to season 2, because the tonal shift is dramatic. It's a very dramatic tonal shift. But it's incredible how they can change the series so much and it still be so goddamn compelling, so goddamn good. Vinland Saga is easily top 3, and if it wasn't for the astronomical waves that our next 2 shows are doing, you could truly make an argument for number 1. But just the waves and just the overall influence that these next 2 series have, I think, are ridiculous. You've probably already guessed what they are, and I'm going to get a lot of pushback for it. We're going to show the next 2 together. You guys are going to hate me for it, but Frieren and JJK. Frieren and Jujutsu Kaisen. Dude, I'm getting the most hate by far on this. You're like, you put JJK, that mid piece of shit, over Frieren? Terrible take. Awful. I already see it. Frieren is an amazing series, guys. It took the community by storm. It is the series that I think captured the hearts of the most amount of people this season. This year, I do. I think it's the series that probably captured the hearts of a lot of people. And I've seen so many people say this reinvigorated the fantasy genre for them, even though I think Mushoku Tensei did that, but and I can't really argue too much about it because Frieren is so fucking incredible. I did a video recently on my channel going into exactly why Frieren is amazing. It's such a great series, and it has everything to do with the characters. The characters in this show are just immaculate. You want to talk about just amazing character writing. This show, if we're talking about just character writing, besides like Vinland Saga, I think Frieren and Vinland Saga are right there with each other. If we're talking about just character writing, they're neck and neck. You can make an argument for either on top. But I put Frieren here just because of just how amazing the adaptation is. And just how amazing of a job they've done. Just, they took an already incredible series and made it even more incredible. I think the anime's only enhanced some of the little weaker parts of Frieren and just made it excel. I've been into that. We won't get into it too much. Frieren is absolutely amazing and definitely one of the titans of this year. But you can say the same for JJK. People are going to get so fucking mad at me for this. But I'm telling you now, in terms of engagement, people talking about it, discussion, in terms of hype, every single week, consistently, its entire run, JJK is the biggest show of the year. It is. I'm sorry. You guys might be confused because in my seasonal ranking, I put Frieren above JJK. But in the yearly ranking, JJK is the series people will look back on 2023 and remember the most. Maybe not everyone, but the majority of people will do that. JJK just had the most discussion about it. Like, if we're talking about the most streamed show of the entire year as well, like, I'll take that into factor too. JJK is the most streamed. It is the most watched show. I'm telling you, look it up. Look it up. It is the most watched show of the entire year. And it's not because of the MAPPA stuff. I already see people trying to deflect and say, oh, it's because of the MAPPA controversy that everyone's talking about it. No, it's because they adapted the fucking best arc in the manga this season. And it was fucking good. Week after week after week after week. The hype, the discussion, just everything surrounding JJK was at a fever pitch every single week, man. Like, objectively, there are shows I enjoyed more this season than JJK. Or this year. But to sit here and say that JJK did not define this year of anime is just crazy to me. Like, I gotta put my, like, real hat on here and tell y'all it did. It did, man. The Gojo arc, the flashback arc was incredible. Shibuya was incredible. You have some people say, oh man, they ruined it with the animation. Even with that information about the animators, the fact that it looked so goddamn good, flowed so fucking well, even if the Maharaga scene, what'd they say, that episode was 10% done, and that shit outdid, like, 90% of the anime of the year, speaks volumes. Again, I don't put too much into animation, but like JJK, from story to characters to everything this year, man. Oh, let's be real, characters we got multiple shows down here that are better in terms of characters, but just the hype, the community reaction to it every single week consistently was overwhelming. I was shocked in my reviews going over the show just how big it was. Because season 1 of JJK was like, it was popular. People were really happy about it. It was definitely one of the new gen shonen. I think this season defined it as the new gen shonen. It is the best new gen. Guys, you cannot sit here with a straight face and tell me that a show like Demon Slayer or My Hero or something like that is better than JJK. It's not. That is the definition of copium. Demon Slayer's got better animation, but that's it. I think it is even better than Bleach this year. And that really tells you something, because I love Bleach to death, man. But JJK made me love shonens again. I've been falling out of love with shonens, guys. I told you this numerous times. JJK and Bleach have made me love shonens again, man. That's a testament. JJK, here's the thing. These top three, you could truly interchange them. I do think they are close enough to where you could interchange them. You want Vinland Saga as number one? Bro, I'm not going to look at you crazy at all. I completely and utterly get it. You want Frieren as number one? I get it. You want JJK as number one? I clearly get it. But I just think these three shows are the true best of the year. I'm sorry. Even Oshinoko, that made insane waves, had the most streamed and listened to opening of the entire year. It's not even fucking close. Idol was the number one opening of the year. Not even remotely close. It's just these three are interchangeable, but there's a gap between them and the other shows. And I just think JJK inches it ahead. So here's my list, guys. Let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments. This is the Apothecary Diaries, by the way. Just letting you guys know in case you forgot. That's what this is. I don't know why it's invisible. It's annoying. Whatever. But this is my list, guys. Let me know in the comments how you think it is. Bro, people are gonna fucking berate this list. They're gonna hate this shit. A couple placements for sure. God, it pains me! But I just think that's how it is, man. Let me know what you think the top one is in the comments. It's going to be one of these two. That's all I'm going to see in the comments. Just, I think one of these two were the best of the year. JJK is fucking mid. That's all I'm going to see in the comments, but I don't agree. But let me know regardless of whether you love this list or you think it's total dog shit. I'd love to hear it and talk with you guys about it. Because that's what this is all about, baby. Our love of anime. But until next time, I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And I'll see you guys real soon as we hop in to the 2024 anime season. Because it's here, and we got a bunch of shows to go over. So look forward to that. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.